Some trucks grab attention because of their size, others because of their power, and a few simply seem to challenge everything a normal road was designed to handle. But how far can a machine go before it crosses the limits of weight, dimensions, safety, and road approval? And what happens when a truck is born so extreme that driving it freely becomes almost impossible? On this journey, we are going through 10 levels of unusual trucks, starting with experimental projects and ending with machines that can only operate on closed tracks, military grounds, or controlled events. Get ready to see gigantic engines, outrageous configurations, and projects that turn trucks into true monuments on wheels. Stay until the end, because the #1 spot was not built to haul cargo, but to set the asphalt on fire in front of thousands of people. Colani Truck 2001. The Colani Truck 2001 was created by designer Luigi Colani as a radical proposal to reduce fuel consumption through aerodynamics. Instead of the tall, square cab found on traditional trucks, it received a rounded body with the driver positioned almost in the center of the structure. Presented in the early 2000s, the project used a European heavy truck platform with an inline 6-cylinder diesel engine, rear-wheel drive, and a transmission designed for long-distance hauling. Since it was a prototype, there is no single definitive spec sheet for horsepower, torque, acceleration, or top speed. Visually, it looked like it was gliding down the highway. The panoramic windshield, partially covered wheels, and capsule-shaped cab reduced air resistance, while the interior felt more like a command center than a conventional truck cabin. Beyond its striking look, its main promise was efficiency. By cutting through the air more cleanly, the truck would require less effort from the engine at cruising speed, lowering fuel consumption on long trips. Its size and configuration also limited its practical use. Maneuvering in tight areas, entering the cab, performing maintenance, and adapting it to conventional trailers would be major challenges for any fleet interested in putting a machine like this into daily service. In real-world use, its biggest obstacle was road approval. Lighting, cab access, mirror position, field of vision, and occupant protection would all need to meet the regulations of each country before it could legally drive on public roads. Even without entering production, the Colani Truck 2001 helped anticipate aerodynamic solutions that now appear in modern trucks. But the next model was even bolder, because it completely changed the way the driver, engine, and cargo were positioned. Steinwinter Supercargo 2040. Imagine a truck where the cab is not in front of the load, but practically underneath it. That was the idea behind the Steinwinter Supercargo 2040, developed in Germany in the early 1980s to make better use of the legal length allowed on European roads. Created by Manfred Steinwinter, the prototype placed the driver in a cab about 46 inches tall, while the semi-trailer extended over the vehicle. The goal was to free up more usable cargo space without increasing the truck's overall length. Its mechanical setup came from Mercedes-Benz with an 8-cylinder V diesel engine of approximately 14.6 liters, capable of delivering around 400 horsepower. The transmission was manual, power went to the rear axle, and the structure was prepared for heavy combinations. Behind the wheel, the feeling was very different from driving a conventional truck. The driver sat close to the ground, surrounded by large glass areas, with the load passing right above the cab. Viewed from the side, the whole setup looked more like a road-going platform than a traditional truck. In operation, the project tried to solve a real problem in European transport, carrying more goods within strict length limits. The configuration also promised better space usage on high-volume routes. However, maintenance, crash safety, cab access, and side visibility made the operation far more complicated. The Supercargo went through testing and attracted attention at trade shows, but it never entered mass production. The challenges of road approval and the high cost of developing such a different configuration turned the prototype into a rare piece of transportation history. Even today, it is remembered as one of the boldest attempts to redesign a truck without simply making it longer. And if placing the cab under the cargo already sounds extreme, the next model was born to move weights that an ordinary road could barely handle. Pacific P12W3. Deep in Canada's logging operations, the Pacific P12W3 was born to face mud, steep grades, and timber loads that would destroy an ordinary truck. Built by Pacific Truck and Trailer, it was designed almost exclusively for heavy off-road work. Its reinforced 3-axle chassis could receive large displacement diesel engines. Some configurations use 12-cylinder V Detroit diesel engines paired with multi-speed manual transmissions and short gear ratios to prioritize pulling force at low speed. The heavy suspension and rear axle traction helped the truck move across gravel, mud, and forest trails. This was not a machine built for acceleration, but for pulling away with dozens of tons on terrain where control mattered more than speed. Visually, the P12W3 commanded respect with its long hood, huge tires, and raised cab. The deep sound of the engine announced its arrival long before it appeared, hauling giant logs over rough paths. Its size also demanded real skill from the driver. In tight turns and steep descents, every movement had to be calculated to keep the load stable. The work almost always happened at low speed, with the engine under constant strain for long periods. That durability was exactly what kept the P12W3 moving where highway trucks would simply stop. Its natural environment was private roads, mining areas, and forest routes. On public highways, its weight, dimensions, and configuration would require special permits, escort vehicles, and detailed planning. Many units received new engines, reinforcements, and adaptations over the years, strengthening its reputation as a nearly indestructible truck. Today, some survivors are preserved by collectors. Enjoying this climb through higher and higher levels? Then hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell, because the next trucks enter an even more extreme category. And if the Pacific already seems too big for the pavement, the next one was built to tow loads that would make any road feel small. Nicolas Tractomas TR 10x10. When a load weighs hundreds of tons, a conventional truck is no longer an option. That is exactly the kind of mission the French manufacturer Nicolas built the Tractomas TR 10x10 for. A gigantic heavy-haul tractor designed to tow transformers, industrial modules, and mining equipment. The model gained attention in the 2000s for its impressive dimensions and 5-axle configuration. Its 12-cylinder V diesel engine, with about 27 liters of displacement, could deliver approximately 1,000 horsepower and a colossal amount of low-end torque. All that force was controlled by a reinforced automatic transmission, chosen to keep power delivery constant. The 10x10 drive system sent power to all 10 wheels, improving grip on grades, loose terrain, and extreme hauling operations. The suspension was designed to support heavy weight and keep all axles in contact with the ground. With huge tires, a tall cab, and a wide body, the Tractomas gave off the feeling of a road-going locomotive, moving forward with a deep, steady growl. This truck was used in mines, oil field operations, and large-scale industrial transport, especially in regions with limited infrastructure. It solved a problem that is simple to explain but hard to execute: moving enormous loads without relying on railroads. On public roads, its dimensions, weight, and towing capacity required special permits, escort vehicles, and often temporary road closures. Without that support, an operation with the Tractomas would be incompatible with normal traffic rules. The model went down in history as one of the largest road tractors ever built, strengthening Nicolas's reputation in super heavy transport. But the next truck leaves conventional diesel behind and enters a level of power created in a completely unconventional way. Chevrolet V12 6 Turbinas. This time, the excess did not come from a traditional factory, but from a custom project built to grab attention. Known as the Chevrolet V12 6 Turbinas, this truck became famous for combining a massive engine with visual and mechanical preparation far beyond street standards. The setup used a 12-cylinder V engine combined with 6 turbochargers installed to increase intake pressure and drastically raise power. Since it is a one-off build that has been modified over time, reported numbers vary, and there is no single official spec sheet for horsepower, torque, or acceleration. The transmission had to be reinforced to handle the engine's force, while the chassis received adaptations to fit the mechanical setup and extra systems. Rear-wheel drive followed the heavy truck pattern, but with components far beyond what would be needed for normal road use. The visual impact was immediate. Exposed piping, visible turbochargers, large exhausts, and the stretched hood turned the truck into an event attraction. When it accelerated, the sound mixed the deep roar of the engine with the whistle of the turbos, creating a presence impossible to ignore. A machine like this was not made for deliveries, road trips, or commercial transport. Its natural environment was exhibitions, automotive gatherings, and controlled demonstrations, where it could be shown without putting other vehicles at risk. On the street, the problem would go far beyond power. Emissions, noise, component height, visibility, and structural modifications could prevent road approval in several countries, requiring specific inspections and permits. This Chevrolet became known precisely because it represents the limit of mechanical customization applied to a truck. And if 6 turbochargers already sound excessive, the next model was born for military missions where weight, terrain, and size made any road feel like a minor detail. May Z537. Now we enter military territory, where the priority was not comfort, economy, or city practicality, but the ability to move enormous loads through difficult places. The MAZ-537 was developed in the Soviet Union in the late 1950s by the Minsk factory in Belarus to tow tanks, missiles, heavy equipment, and strategic cargo. Its engine was a 12-cylinder V diesel, with approximately 38.9 liters and around 525 horsepower. Its high low-end torque made the difference, allowing the truck to pull extremely heavy trailers without relying on speed. The transmission was hydromechanical automatic, a rugged solution designed to reduce driver effort during long and heavy operations. The 8x8 drive system distributed power to all 8 wheels, while independent suspension with torsion bars helped the vehicle face mud, snow, loose dirt, and destroyed terrain. Visually, the MAZ-537 looked like a wall on tires. The forward cab, massive fenders, and long chassis gave the impression of a machine built for war, not for the highway. The slow, heavy rumble of the large engine reinforced that powerful, almost intimidating presence. Its main use was on military bases, special convoys, test grounds, and off-road operations. It solved a vital problem, transporting equipment that needed to reach remote regions even when infrastructure was poor or non-existent. On public roads, a truck of this size would require strict control, approved routes, and logistical support. Weight, width, turning radius, high fuel consumption, and military origin make the MAZ-537 very far from any normal civilian transport operation. Over the years, it became a legend among Soviet military trucks, appearing in collections, museums, and restorations around the world. But if the MAZ already impresses with its brutality, the next truck was built to carry even larger combat vehicles on extremely high-risk missions. Oshkosh M1070 HET. To transport a modern battle tank, horsepower alone is not enough. You need structure, braking power, traction, and durability to keep dozens of tons under control. That was the mission behind the Oshkosh M1070 HET, developed in the United States in the late 1980s for the United States Army. The truck uses an 8-cylinder V Detroit diesel engine with 12.1 liters, capable of delivering around 500 horsepower. Its high torque works together with an Allison automatic transmission, prepared to move the combination even with extremely heavy military loads. The AX8 configuration gives traction to all 8 wheels, while the reinforced suspension helps distribute weight over difficult terrain. With the proper semi-trailer, the M1070 was designed to transport tanks, armored vehicles, and combat machines. Its appearance is pure military function. Tall cab, giant tires, rugged bumper, and wide chassis make the truck look more like a war platform than a highway vehicle. The sound of the engine under load delivers that heavy feeling of a machine working at its limit. During maneuvers, every foot matters. The complete combination is long, heavy, and needs room to steer, brake, and align the load safely. That is why operation depends on trained drivers, constant communication, and ground support. It is used on bases, military convoys, ports, training areas, and strategic movements. It solves an essential task, moving heavy armored vehicles over long distances without wearing out their tracks, saving time and preserving combat equipment. On civilian highways, the M1070 would not operate like an ordinary truck. Weight, dimensions, type of cargo, military markings, and the need for escort vehicles require special permits and route planning. The M1070 became one of the most recognized military transporters in the world, serving as a symbol of modern heavy logistics. But the next Oshkosh on the list came before it, and had already shown how transporting tanks could push a truck to the absolute limit. Oshkosh M911 C-HET. Before the M1070 became the benchmark, the Oshkosh M911 C-HET was already carrying the burden of heavy military logistics. Developed in the United States in the late 1970s, it was created to tow semi-trailers carrying tanks, armored vehicles, and combat equipment over long distances. The engine was an 8-cylinder V Detroit diesel with 12.1 liters, delivering around 450 horsepower. That power worked with an Allison automatic transmission, built to handle massive loads without forcing the driver into constant gear changes. Unlike some military transporters with all-wheel drive, the M911 used an 8.6 configuration, sending power to 3 of its 4 axles. The reinforced suspension and heavy chassis allowed it to handle loads above 60 tons, especially on prepared roads, bases, and controlled routes. The look was raw and straightforward. Square hood, tall grille, large tires, and a simple cab made it clear this truck was not born for comfort, but for heavy service. In motion, it looked like it was pushing the air itself, with the engine working at a low and steady speed. The size of the full combination required serious road awareness. On climbs, curves, and long braking zones, the driver had to anticipate every move, because controlling a loaded military transporter leaves no room for improvisation. The mission of this truck was to prevent tanks from traveling long distances on their tracks, which would wear out expensive components and reduce the service life of combat vehicles. With the M911, the United States Army gained logistical speed and protected its armored vehicles. Outside the military environment, it would face severe limitations. High gross weight, width, total length, type of cargo, and the need for escort vehicles would make its operation dependent on special permits, especially on busy highways. The M911 marked a generation of heavy transporters and helped pave the way for more modern systems, including the M1070 itself. But if these Oshkosh trucks already look like giants of war, the next truck rises to a level of mechanical spectacle, chrome, noise, and presence that is almost impossible to ignore. Thor 24 Peterbilt 359. Few custom trucks have taken excess as far as the Thor 24 Peterbilt 359. Built in the United States from a 1979 Peterbilt 359, it was transformed into a show machine, designed to impress before the engine was even started. Under the stretched hood, the truck received two 12-cylinder V-Detroit diesel engines, totaling 24 cylinders. The setup used multiple superchargers and was promoted with more than 3,000 horsepower. The transmission and entire structure had to be deeply reinforced to handle so much force. It was rear-wheel drive, but the goal was not to haul heavy cargo. It was to create a one-of-a-kind piece capable of dominating any automotive event. The look felt like a mix between a classic American truck and a competition machine. Chrome everywhere, vertical exhaust stacks, a gigantic hood, striking paint, and a luxurious interior made Thor 24 look like a showpiece. It was the kind of truck that could stop any meat before it even accelerated. The interior followed the same level of excess. Detailed seats, custom finishing, and show car touches made it clear that it was built to be seen up close, photographed, and remembered. The sound was part of the spectacle. Two large engines working together created a deep, aggressive rumble, while the superchargers reinforced the feeling of power to spare. Driving a machine like this legally under normal conditions would be extremely difficult. Noise, emissions, structural modifications, weight, visibility, height, and power far above normal standards would require strict inspections and specific permits. Thor 24 became famous in auctions, videos, and custom vehicle events, turning into a legend among modified Peterbilt trucks. But if it already feels like the peak of excess on wheels, the next truck enters a world where propulsion comes from jet turbines. Shockwave Jet Truck. At the top of the list is a truck that was not built to haul cargo, climb grades, or pull a trailer. The Shockwave Jet Truck was born in the United States as a spectacle machine, built on a Peterbilt platform and prepared to run only on closed tracks. Instead of a diesel engine, it used three Pratt & Whitney J34 jet turbines, connected to the history of military aviation. Together, those turbines were advertised at around 36,000 horsepower, a number completely outside the reality of any highway truck. The acceleration was outrageous. Shockwave could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just a few seconds and reach around 375 miles per hour in controlled demonstrations. There was no conventional transmission because propulsion came directly from the thrust of the turbines. The structure had to be modified to handle extreme heat, vibration, speed, and stability. In this case, the wheels were not the main source of traction since the truck was pushed forward by jet force. Visually, it was impossible to mistake for anything else. The rear with three turbine nozzles, huge flames, deafening noise, and heat wave turned every launch into a major event. On the road, a machine like this would be completely prohibited from normal circulation. Noise, heat, speed, risk to other vehicles, and lack of road approval kept Shockwave restricted to tracks, events, and isolated areas. The truck became known as one of the most famous jet-powered attractions in the world, appearing at air shows and automotive events for many years. Its story also gained emotional weight after the fatal 2022 accident, which deeply affected fans and enthusiasts. That is why it takes the highest level on this list. While the other trucks challenged weight, size, and road rules, Shockwave went beyond all of that, becoming a legend powered by jet turbines. And that was our climb through the 10 levels of illegal trucks, going from experimental projects all the way to military, custom-built, and jet-powered machines. Each one crosses the limits in a different way, through size, weight, horsepower, noise, modifications, or simply because it was never built to drive on normal roads. Now tell me in the comments, which one did you find the most outrageous? Which one would you like to see running up close? And which one do you think would be the hardest to approve for street use? If you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell. That helps the channel grow and shows YouTube that more people need to see these incredible machines. See you in the next video.